We all know this story. Isla Nublar, 1993, a visionary's dream collapses into chaos. For 3 decades, we've accepted the narrative. John Hammond was a grandfatherly genius whose noble experiment was destroyed by the unpredictable forces of nature and the greed of one fat slob with a can of shaving cream. We forgive John Hammond because he seemed to mean well. We forgive him because he gave us the T-Rex. We forgive him because throughout the film, he repeats magic words over and over like a mantra.
Spared no expense.
Spared no expense. Top of the line.
Spared no expense.
The voice you're now hearing is Richard Kiley. We spared no expense.
Spared no expense.
But what if that phrase was Hammond's biggest con? What if Hammond was a liar from the moment we meet him? Today, we're not talking about chaos theory. We're not analyzing the dinosaurs. We're doing something nobody's done before. A forensic audit of InGen's books. We're examining the hardware, the payroll, the security protocols, and yes, even the lunch menu. Because when you strip away the CGI and the nostalgia, you don't find a technological marvel. You find a flea circus. We meet John Hammond before we meet his park, Badlands, Montana. 2 paleontologists working in brutal heat, carefully extracting a velociraptor skeleton from the earth. Then, without warning, a helicopter descends on their dig site, kicking up dust and debris. The machine lands and out steps a man in white linen who immediately walks into their trailer like he owns the place. He does not wait for an invitation. He does not ask permission. He walks straight to their refrigerator and pulls out a bottle. Watch this moment carefully. Hammond didn't bring champagne to celebrate with them. He's raiding their fridge. He's using their resources to toast his own success. And not just any champagne, but the bottle they were saving. Grant and Sadler were keeping that bottle for something special. But Hammond doesn't care. He pops it open like it's his. Now, look at what's in his hand. This is a bottle of Moet and Chandon. In 1993, it was the cheapest champagne you could buy that still had some name recognition. Around $30 retail. It's bottom shelf champagne with a fancy label. It's the equivalent of what Hammond's about to build. Expensive looking, but cheap underneath. And this is your first impression of John Hammond. A man who performs generosity while cutting every corner. A man who uses other people's resources and takes credit for the moment. Now, watch what he says. He's selling them on the trip. He's flattering them, and then almost as an aside, he drops this line.
I can see that my $50,000 a year has been well spent.
$50,000. Let's just stop and do the math. In 1993, a senior paleontologist's salary would be about $60,000 to $90,000. Dr. Grant needs that, Dr. Sadler needs that, and then there are dig permits, land fees, ground penetrating radar, excavation equipment, carbon dating, lab work, and student wages. A legitimate paleontology operation would cost $500,000 minimum for a 3-year grant. Hammond is funding them at 10% of what they actually need. He's giving them poverty wages and acting like he built them a personal laboratory. He's buying world-class scientists to legitimize his project for the price of a used car. And he says it with a smile, like he's being generous. And it's no wonder that the equipment malfunctions in the introduction. This is the con in miniature. Hammond positions himself as the benefactor, the man who can make dreams come true. But he's buying people cheap. He's getting top-tier expertise for bottom-tier investment. And if you don't say thank you, you're the ungrateful one. So here we are. We haven't even seen a dinosaur yet, and already the man who will soon repeat "spared no expense" like a mantra has shown us exactly who he is. He's a man pouring discount champagne into the wrong glass and expecting you to taste luxury. But this is just the opening act, because once Hammond gets them on that helicopter, the facade starts cracking even faster. The scene is an InGen executive helicopter carrying the CEO and his VIP guests. This is supposed to be the flagship, the corporate jet, the machine that represents the face of the company. They're approaching Isla Nublar through turbulent weather, and Dr. Grant reaches for his seatbelt. And he pulls out 2 female ends. Hammond immediately announces,
Bad wind shears. We have to drop pretty fast, so hold on. Yahoo!
He sounds excited, like this is part of the adventure. Meanwhile, Grant is staring at a seatbelt that doesn't work. Now, film students have spent decades telling us that this moment is symbolic, that it represents the all-female dinosaurs finding a way to breed. Life finds a way, right? Even Sam Neill said it wasn't that deep, and Grant just hates technology, so he's annoyed. But everyone's focused on the symbolism and missing the tactical reality. Yes, it's thematic foreshadowing. Spielberg's not subtle. But it's also literal evidence of Hammond's negligence. Just look at the logistics. A seatbelt is a primary safety device on any aircraft. It's literally a go, no-go item on any pre-flight checklist. For a helicopter to launch with mismatched hardware means one of two things happened. Either the maintenance crew didn't check, which is criminal negligence, or they checked, saw it was broken, and InGen didn't have the spare part. So they threw in whatever strap was lying around to make it look like a seatbelt. Just enough to pass a visual inspection. Just enough to maintain the illusion. Watch what Grant does, though. He doesn't complain. He doesn't ask for help. He improvises. He ties the two female ends together into a knot, creating his own restraint system from broken parts. This is the first evidence. Hammond claims he spared no expense, but he's flying VIP guests in a helicopter where the safety gear is cosmetic. If he can't verify the safety hardware on his own passenger seats, why should we trust him with the locking mechanism on a Velociraptor enclosure? If he can't afford a $20 seatbelt part, what else did he skip? That knot Grant ties becomes a metaphor for the entire Jurassic Park user experience. The system fails. Humans patch it manually with whatever's available.
When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked.
Hammond built a theme park in early access mode. It looks incredible in the trailer, but the moment you interact with it, the physics engine breaks and you're on your own. From the champagne glass to the seatbelt, Hammond's pattern is already clear. He cuts costs on things that matter and compensates with spectacle. He uses the cheapest components that still look expensive. He relies on people not asking questions. He bets on the audience being so distracted by the show that they don't notice the machinery is being held together with duct tape.
We have all the problems of a major theme park and a major zoo, and the computers aren't even on their feet yet.
And keep in mind, we still haven't even seen a dinosaur yet, and already the infrastructure is failing. But it gets worse. Okay, let's jump to the end. The power is out, people are dying, and Hammond is sitting alone in the darkened visitor center eating melting ice cream because the freezers are off and he doesn't want expensive inventory to go to waste.
They were all melting.
Yes, even during the apocalypse, he's worried about the loss column. This scene contains the most important dialogue in the entire franchise. Hammond tells Ellie Sattler about his first business, a flea circus at Petticoat Lane in London.
They all move, motorized, of course, but people would say they could see the fleas. Oh, I can see the fleas, Mummy, can't you see the fleas? This place wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion.
Did you hear what he just admitted to? He built his career as a con artist. He created machines that simulated life and relied on audience gullibility to fill in the gaps.
Are these characters erotica?
No.
It was all theater. He explicitly calls it an illusion. Hammond says he wanted to move away from illusion with Jurassic Park. But did he? The electric fences rely on psychology. The animals learn not to touch them and test them for weaknesses.
They were testing the fences for weaknesses systematically. They remember.
The security relies on automation, cameras looking for motion, and the safety protocols rely on the appearance of control, not actual redundancy. Dr. Sattler nails it.
It's still the Flea Circus. It's all an illusion.
When we have control again.
You never had control. That's the illusion.
She's right. The spared no expense mantra is the motor that makes the trapeze move. It's the sound effect Hammond plays to convince you that the fleas are real. But when the power fails, when the motor stops, the illusion evaporates. Hammond built a stage set, not a fortress. Look at the evidence. When we arrive, the visitor center isn't even finished. There's scaffolding in the lobby during what's supposed to be the final inspection tour. The projection equipment in the theater is still being calibrated. This is the biggest pitch of Hammond's life, and he hasn't even finished painting the walls. Hammond looks like a project manager who's over budget, behind schedule, and desperately trying to get a minimum viable product out the door before the investors walk. The graphics are stunning, the dinosaurs are revolutionary, but the infrastructure, that's where Hammond cuts corners, and those corners had teeth. For 30 years, we've been told Dennis Nedry is the villain, the greedy traitor who sold out the world for a briefcase full of cash. He's sloppy, arrogant, and disrespectful to everyone around him.
And look at this workstation. What a complete slum.
But let's look at what actually happened.
You can run this whole park from this room with minimal staff for up to 3 days. You think that kind of automation is easy? Or cheap? You know anybody who can network 8 connection machines and debug 2 million lines of code for what I bid for this job? Because if you can, I'd love to see him try.
Sorry about your financial problems, Dennis. I really am, but they are your problem.
The translation here is, I'm underpaying you and I don't care. Think about Nedry's job description. He's not just the IT guy. He architected the entire operating system for a biological containment facility. He designed the security protocols, the network infrastructure, the user interface, the backup systems, everything. In 1993, this would require a team of 10 to 20 specialists, system administrators, network engineers, security architects, GUI designers. Each role would command 6-figure salaries. But here's what Hammond did. Nedry bid on the job. He submitted a fixed price contract, and Hammond, being Hammond, took the lowest bid. Now, any competent CEO knows that accepting the cheapest bid on mission-critical software is suicide. You don't go bargain hunting when you're building a system that controls 10,000-volt fences around velociraptors. But Hammond saw a deal and took it, and when the scope ballooned, when Nedry realized he'd underbid himself into oblivion, Hammond didn't negotiate. He just let Nedry drown, because why pay for a proper IT department when you can exploit one desperate freelancer? He told Nedry his financial problems were his problems, so Nedry found another buyer. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Nedry's sabotage was predictable. When you underpay the single person who controls your entire security infrastructure, you create a massive vulnerability. Hammond's staffing decisions amounted to criminal negligence.
I can't get Jurassic Park back online without Dennis Nedry.
That's it. That's the smoking gun. The park's chief engineer admits they have no backup plan if Nedry is unavailable. One man holds all the keys and nobody else can even log into the system. Spared no expense. Hammond saved millions by hiring one contractor instead of a proper team. And when that contractor flipped the board, the entire park collapsed. But the personnel problem goes deeper than Nedry. Tropical Storm Clarissa is about to hit Isla Nublar, and Hammond makes a decision that seals everyone's fate. He evacuates the island.
Ladies and gentlemen, last shuttle leaving for the dock leaves in approximately 5 minutes. Drop what you're doing and leave now.
Let's process what just happened. This zoo, full of prehistoric predators, several of which can kill a human in seconds, evacuates all non-essential personnel because of rain. The entire staff leaves. There's no overnight shift, no emergency response team, just Hammond, Robert Muldoon, Ray Arnold, and an unpaid IT guy that they're exploiting. Real zoos don't do this. Hospitals don't do this. Nuclear facilities don't do this. When a storm hits critical infrastructure, essential personnel hunker down. They stay to ensure the systems hold, to manually override failures, to respond to emergencies. So why did Hammond evacuate? Money. It's always money. He didn't want to pay weekend overtime. He didn't want to pay hazard pay for the storm duty. He ran Jurassic Park, a multi-billion-dollar biological weapons facility, with the staffing levels of a 7-Eleven on the night shift. When the power died, there was nobody to manually reset the breakers, nobody to drive out in the jeeps and rescue the tour groups, nobody to close the paddock gates, nobody to respond to the raptor breakout. The park collapsed because Hammond tried to run it with 4 people when it needed 40. And we haven't even talked about the hardware yet. Let's examine the tour vehicles. The Ford Explorers. They look incredible. The paint job is iconic. The self-driving track system is genuinely innovative. But from an engineering standpoint, they're death traps. Hammond put a glass roof on a vehicle designed to drive through a tyrannosaur paddock. Think about that. You have a 6-ton predator with a bite force that can crush bone, and your primary defense is a sunroof. Now, to be fair, the vehicles weren't designed to be bunkers because the electrified fences were supposed to keep the dinosaurs back. It's a layered defense system like airport security. You don't need armored doors on a plane if the checkpoints work. But that's exactly the problem. Hammond's entire park was a single point of failure. The fences go down and suddenly those glass roofs become coffins. A competent engineer builds redundancy. Hammond built a house of cards. And this is all because Hammond prioritized the view over protection. He wanted guests to see the dinosaurs clearly. A reinforced cage or military-grade armor would have been safe, but it wouldn't have been delightful. But the most damning detail is the door locks. Watch the T-Rex attack scene. The kids are inside the vehicle. There's no central locking system. The vehicles are running on a computer-controlled track, but the doors can't automatically deadbolt.
I told you how many times we needed locking mechanisms on the vehicle doors.
A $50 solenoid would have solved this. Instead, InGen bought stock Ford Explorers and didn't even upgrade the latches. The doors don't lock. Grant jumps out freely and later the lawyer runs to the bathroom. They were designed to look good, not keep people safe.
Aren't they lovely? Aren't they glorious?
Now let's talk about security hardware. Robert Muldoon goes to the weapons locker during the crisis. He pulls out a SPAS-12 shotgun, a 12-gauge shotgun for a Tyrannosaur, or a Velociraptor. Big game hunters use express rifles, the 458 Lot, the 700 Nitro Express, weapons that cost tens of thousands of dollars and fire rounds designed to stop elephants. But Hammond gave his head warden a riot control shotgun. And again, it all comes down to money. Shotguns are cheap. Police surplus is easy to buy. He equipped his security team to fight humans, not dinosaurs. And look at the quantity. Muldoon and Ellie go out to reset the breakers alone. Because there are no other guns, no other guards. The security team has one man and a locker full of hope. We need to talk about the lunch, probably the most iconic scene in the entire movie. Hammond has gathered his investors for a meal in the visitors center dining room. He's trying to impress them, to sell them on the safety and luxury of Jurassic Park.
Alejandro's prepared a delightful menu for us. Chilean sea bass, I believe.
Chilean sea bass. Sounds expensive, doesn't it? Sounds like the kind of premium ingredient a man who's spared no expense would serve. But here's the thing. Chilean sea bass is Patagonian toothfish, a deep-sea bottom feeder that got a marketing makeover in the late 70s. By 1993, it was the trendy, expensive fish showing up on the menus in LA and New York. Hammond didn't serve it because it was cheap, he served it because it was the hot new thing. He's chasing trends, paying top dollar for something that's fundamentally just an ugly fish with good PR. And that's the perfect metaphor. Hammond took a dangerous, unfinished biological experiment, slapped a theme park label on it, and sold it to investors as safe family entertainment. The lunch scene is the perfect microcosm of the entire park. It's served in an unfinished construction zone, and the centerpiece, the thing Hammond is most proud of, is a lie. Hammond believes that if the presentation is good enough, if the sauce is rich enough, you won't notice the product underneath is garbage. And for the first half of the film, it works. The investors eat the sea bass, they buy the hype.
We're gonna make a fortune with this place.
But the storm is coming, and when the power fails, everyone will see what's really on the plate. Even at the end, after everything has fallen apart, Hammond doesn't learn.
Hiring Nedry was a mistake. That's obvious. We're over-dependent on automation. I can see that now. Now, the next time, everything's correctable. Next time, it'll be flawless.
He's already planning another run. He's promising the day one patch will fix everything. Next time we'll add door locks. Next time we'll pay the IT guy. Next time we'll check the seatbelts. But there is no next time. The myth of spared no expense is just the Petticoat Lane Protocol scaled up. It's the belief that you can cut costs everywhere that matters and make up for it with spectacle. Chaos theory had nothing to do with it. The dinosaurs escaped because John Hammond was cheap. He built a Ferrari engine and put it in a go-kart chassis, and when it exploded, he blamed nature. So the next time you watch Jurassic Park, don't look at the T-Rex, look at the seatbelt. Because that little knot that Dr. Grant ties, that's the only thing in the entire park that actually worked. And it costs $0. And if you want me to audit the safety protocols for other iconic disasters, let me know down in the comments. Pretty sure Westworld's host containment protocols had the same what could go wrong vibes. And don't forget to subscribe and click this video to see me break down the hidden meanings in Pluribus. There's some seriously dark stuff hidden in that series.